slides to go. Okay, good, that's what I intended. Okay, number 6, conspiring with persons removed from the RPA such as Jimmy Cavan and others, sharing, posting on, and commenting on social media posts as Craighead County Republican Committee in a derogatory manner directed towards the RPA leadership, the governor, and members of various committees. See attached documentation. Some of that I will show, but I don't have it on the PowerPoint. The response to that, as stated, there has been no conspiring with Jimmy Cavan, just a post that was mistakenly posted and immediately taken down. Those of us listed on this complaint are all glad that Jimmy Cavan was removed from the party. What's more important to me is the fact it's still freedom of expression. You know, I have the right to complain, and I have put up things, you know, when I don't agree with Donald Trump. That is part of being a human being, is being able to disagree and find a funny meme to express it.
The post that I've been accused of, the Jimmy Cavan post,
Yeah.
he was on the Tea Party too.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, as part of the Tea Party on the, I've had some people lately, they weren't really obnoxious about it, but they said, you know, they felt like somebody shouldn't be allowed to post on our Tea Party page. And I know them personally and everything, and I try to very gently tell them, we believe in the First Amendment on the Tea Party. And unless you're profane, you use foul language, unless you slander somebody, that, you know, you have the right to make your statements, whether I agree with them or not. And as long as I'm running the Tea Party page, we're going to do that. We've got a lot of people that post things that I don't particularly agree with. Actually, I've continued to allow Jimmy Cavan to post some things. Now, there's some things I take down, but I've allowed him to post. I don't care to read him much, but I read everything. I read every single post that anybody does to the Tea Party, and 99% of the commentary under those posts. Because unless you just, you know, really an angry, not nice person, I'm going to let you post. Part of the First Amendment. If you don't like reading those, go to another webpage or Facebook page. Okay. The number 7 was consistently exhibiting divisiveness within the committee and fostering distrust by a continual pattern of us versus them in all decisions of the chair, such as proxies, publicly labeling those who disagree with the executive committee and their supporters as rhinos and worse, both in the meetings and on social media. Some of this just did not happen. It just didn't happen. And as far as divisiveness, I've had, I don't know how many of my friends who I convinced to come to the meeting say, I'm not going back. Some of those people were really ugly, and it wasn't our 7 officers or our 7 people that got expelled. Okay, now Delton Dunn comes up. One of those people that was such a criminal that he got expelled from the RPA wrote, this is his letter from Maya Harvey, said, Dear Delton, I am writing to inform you we've received an amendment request to the original rules violation complaint from Craighead County, which includes your name. This request is attached below. In fairness to you, because they've been so involved in fairness to everybody, in fairness to you, I lost my place, I should have shut up. We want to offer you the opportunity to respond. Please submit any rebuttal or explanation you would like the committee to consider no later than 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. If you have any questions or need clarification, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you and stay safe in this weekend's weather. All right. I'm sorry, who said something that sounded like it might be funny? So, because we're all involved in fairness now. Okay, this was Delton's. Yeah, no, none of you can read it. I could barely get it copied. This is his response, and I'm going to sit down and read it because I have to get real close myself. Hello, Maya. My response was submitted to the Rules Review Committee along with Chairman Eggers and others due to my name being mentioned with the original alleged infractions, and I still affirm that response. Unfortunately, Tim Loggins is a very angry person who got very emotional and had an outburst when he failed to win the chairman election for the Craighead County Republican Committee on 1/4/24. Guys, I want to add to that, I was sitting in the audience in the room about halfway through, and he came storming through the room cursing. Now, I heard it. He wasn't screaming, but he was cursing. Most of us grew up being told, If you lose, you go shake hands and say, glad you won, and be a human, be a grown-up. And of course, that really affected me. I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
Good. And I know some of the rest of you saw that. Most recently, he also failed to win the vice chair election on 1/28/2025. This frivolous complaint speaks volumes when it's brought on by members who either lost their elections for officer or by members that have not attended a single committee meeting for years. We are having a complaint filed against us not letting inactive members vote when the ruling was sent out yesterday and only passed by the state executive committee on 3/3/25. Before 1/28/25, this was a non-issue and not ever discussed in our committee. Inactives were not allowed to vote, and there was no reason for anyone to believe that as a couple of examples, that the rule had suddenly changed. This also did not change the outcome of any election. Other items listed in the complaint did not constitute rules violations. Just as a couple of examples, we did not give money to any opposed Republican candidates in the primary. Also, nonpartisan races do not have the same rules as partisan races, yet the complaint assumes that nonpartisan and partisan races have the same rules. I would like to know what rule the Rules Review Committee believes that I specifically broke. This is nothing more than a weaponization of the rules review process by those that lost their elections. It saddens me to see that the Rules Review Committee would even entertain it or to be associated with this type of behavior. The party in the past would have immediately dismissed such nonsense, as it clearly is an attempt to redo the election without the candidates to run against. Please review the additional support document, and I am available to the committee if the committee has any questions. Delton, did you get any response to your letter?
Not one.
Not one. So, do you think that might be because they weren't interested in your response?
I believe you would be correct.
That fair just went right out the door.
They brought the stones.
Did any of the rest of the people who were named in the complaint, did they actually ever get a response to their complaint?
Not to my knowledge.
Did not get a response. Their response to the complaint they were named in didn't get a response to it.
They're supposed to. It's in the
Okay.
rules.
This is the response to this last item. Our committee doesn't have a divisiveness period. The persons that lost last election and the most recent elections are filing this complaint, just like they did the last election, in hopes of causing a new election. All the rest of our membership is always ready to help fundraise and campaign as needed. No one gets called a rhino in a meeting. I have no control what goes on individuals' Facebook pages. Craighead County's issue is not division. It's disgruntled candidates that fail to have the support of the majority of the committee.
Agreed. That's right. Yes, sir, I toasted it.
What?
I toasted that.
Yeah, I think it's very obvious that's what the problem is. Okay, we had a member who's actually here today that wrote in about the RPA, and I included that because I think they're very, very right. I want to make you aware of how corrupt the Republican Party of Arkansas is. I have all the receipts to prove my accusations. I'm more than happy to send it to you if you are interested in clearing it up. The following is an overview. Number one, we held our RPA convention last June. We passed 7 or 8 resolutions with over a 2/3 margin. Now, almost 1 year later, none have been acted upon. One of them was paper ballots. Since convention, the RPA is aggressively trying to silence the MAGA supporters. For example, they dissolved Saline County's committee. They have banned the Craighead County Republican Committee based upon 100% false allegations. Biggest was the anti-Trump faction, which is roughly 30 members. At our January meeting, where we voted for the officers, their spokesman said RPA had decided that inactive members could vote. The parliamentary said rules don't allow. We voted not to allow the inactives to vote. We elected all MAGA officers by better margin than inactive in attendance. The ringleader contacted the RPA with several allegations, this being the main abuse. The RPA sent to committee before even notification to the 6 officers. The officers filed rebuttal on every accusation. Then the committee gave a grand total of 5 minutes to present their case. Not each 5 minutes, but 5 minutes for all 6. The committee met in March and banned them from holding office. Then later, apparently because of the ringleader, the committees changed to ban them completely, including can't attend meetings until 2027. They only know that from the grapevine. Up to this day, none have been officially notified. However, the chairman of the RPA sent notifications to the local newspaper. Now get that. The chairman of the RPA, who is who?
Joseph Wood.
Sent notification to newspapers. The Sun, Paragould Daily Press.
And the Little Rock, too.
Yes. Then the committees voted to allow inactive members to vote, so we held another meeting Tuesday night to vote on officers again. There were inactives that haven't attended a meeting in literally years. But the Lord prevailed and we voted all but one MAGA. But opposition continues to try to interfere. Like I said, I can send all the receipts to prove how corrupt they are. We need more people who are willing to send in items like that. Okay, this is another really a nice comment from Brant, who said, he told Barry, I hope you will run for second term as chair. I haven't heard if there are any other members interested. Barry said, yes, I think we normally do. I am praying about what I should on the chair position. There is so much hate by just a few, it kind of is hard to handle. Brent said, believe me, I experienced the same thing. This hateful behavior is now even worse at the RPA level. My phone has been blowing up about a vote supposed to take place at our executive committee meeting Monday to oust Saline County Republican Committee. We should be celebrating Trump's victory and not fighting. Personally, I think you have done a great job and I hope you run again. So at least somebody recognizes that outside of this group. Okay. This came from another member. Another Republican. I did not put the name on here because they haven't been thrown out of anything yet. I don't think.
Yeah, that's my letter.
Oh, is it your letter? Okay, maybe your name is on the bottom. Good afternoon. Please find the following points as related to the amendment from Mr. Tim Logan submitted. I did not, number one, I did not violate any rules. I was asked by Chair Eggers to assist as parliamentarian, and I assisted them in following our rules. Reprimanding a member cannot occur unless a rules violation exists. Imagine that. The meeting in question occurred at the end of January. As of today's date, no chairman that I am aware of has received any official word of this rules change. This leads one to question the validity of Mr. Logan's statement immediately preceding a vote for county officers, that the Rules Committee has now decided to let inactive members vote at county committee meetings. Mr. Loggins cannot issue a complaint on a member of another county. I'm a member of Pulaski County Republican Committee, and a complaint against me would have to be brought from the county in which I'm a member. I currently hold no leadership position within the party. Number four, the amendment cannot be made as we are past the point where that can be done in our rules. The recommendation has already been submitted to the state executive committee, and the presentation has started in the state executive committee meeting. Number five, qualified parliamentarians are not easy to find. It is frequent that county committees will ask a qualified neutral party from another county in the state to serve as parliamentarian to ensure no rules are violated. This is the same thing as the state party inviting a parliamentarian from another state to advise during the state meetings. This is seen as a prudent action on behalf of a presiding officer. Number six, I only received one page of the letter from Mr. Loggins. Is it only one page long, or am I missing page 2? Number 7, if I am added to this complaint, the Rules Review Committee will be violating the rules associated with numbers 1, 3, and 4 above. They apparently don't mind violating their own rules in order to eliminate people they see as maybe too powerful, too conservative.
Troublemaker.
Troublemakers.
She wasn't the only one from Pulaski County that attended, yet she is the one, Lori, thank you. But she's
Yes.
the one that got the complaint on.
Yes.
Yeah, Jonelle.
Fulmer.
Was invited by Tim
Tim
Loggins and the Ledgerwoods.
Yeah.
And they didn't do a complaint on her. And she was passing out stuff, well, not passing out stuff, she was telling people, she was causing trouble
Show them on her phone.
on her phone
Yeah.
about the Enacted.
So-called.
And then this latest meeting, whatever day that was, we also had two people show up who were not allowed to do things. And Big Paul, asked her, "Who are you and why are you passing out stuff at our meeting?" That was Maya. Was that Maya? Harvey?
Secretary here from that meeting. And Maya, can you tell her what Maya told you when you asked her what she's passing out?
She didn't let me read it or anything, I just asked her what she was passing out, and she just, I don't even know what she said. But I said, well, you don't need to do that, whatever it is, it's not on our agenda. We're not discussing whatever that is this evening. We have an agenda, we're gonna stick to our agenda. I didn't know who she was, I didn't know what she was passing out.
But they did pass it out. And then,
Yes, they did.
and then when Amy stood up to table it, everybody was throwing a fit because there was most of us that never even had seen the letter.
So they were causing trouble at the meeting.
And they passed out third-party materials without
There you go.
permission.
County judgment hanging in that page.
County judge.
Violated the rules of the RPA, but no problem for them, right?
And it was also sent to Jamie on the Friday before the meeting. Why wasn't it sent to Marcia, who's the secretary? She could have sent it out to everybody, but instead they waited till the day of, during the meeting, to pass it out.
We're going to talk about that too, about two letters sent to Jamie instead of going to people who they should have gone to. Lori?
I want to point out two other violations by the RPA that are not in here. But number one, the way it works is the complaint process, when it's turned in, which this was received on January 31st, Joseph Wood has 14 days to appoint an investigative committee. He went 21 days. He went over the amount. This is number in the rules. It's written in our rules. The second thing is that investigative committee has 45 days to get everything together and submit it to the state executive committee for review. The investigative committee turned something in on March the 15th. That was the end of it. They did their recommendation, and the state committee actually had a meeting about this. Then Tim Loggins files an amendment. Oh yeah, I forgot to punish two people. I want to add them too. Okay, so they should never have gone back and heard this amendment. The amendment was not signed by anyone but Tim Loggins. So I don't even know if the people who signed the complaint know you did an amendment too, because his name was the only one on it. So they have 45 days to do. So they go ahead and take this, and they take this amendment. They look at the amendment. They look at what he says, and you can go back 2 letters. RPA sent Delton Dunn an email saying you have until April the 8th to get your stuff in. April the 7th would have been the cutoff date, the 45 days to get their stuff in. And there's a document by Drew Martin, who was in charge of this investigative committee, dated April 11th. 4 days past the date that they have by the rules. It's a hard date. It's like you got 45 days to do this. They went past that. I mean, these are Biden Republicans.
Yes.
They weaponize, they lie, and don't care anything about that. They're gonna get you and hunt you and cut your head off for allowing inactives to vote, which nobody knows about the rule. For 10 weeks later, they finally send something out to the chairman. So we're gonna come back and get you for that, but we're violating this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule, and it's okay because we're in charge. And that's exactly what happened. If anybody wants these documents, I've got every single document. I have a Dropbox, and I will give you access to the Dropbox. And all you got to do is give me your email. I'll give you access. You can go look at every single, and you can look at the dates. If you don't believe me, go look at the dates on the stuff that's been submitted to the state committee. You look at the dates yourself. I mean, that's what I say. Don't believe me. It's all right there, and it's their documents.
Drew Martin was just made executive director of the RPA.
Yeah, that's his reward. That's his reward. I was on a call with him last week, 2 weeks ago. You were on that call too. We were on that call 2 weeks ago. We voted for the Hispanic Assembly. They were electing officers.
there were about 15 people who were, the chairman had failed to call national and get the updated list of members. And so people got on this Zoom because they were members, and the lady in charge was like, we have more people on here than we have on the roster. So he made a motion not to let anybody vote unless your name was on the roster. And luckily, the credentials committee person said, no, we're going to give them a chance. As we call your name, you show us where you paid your dues, you know, just a screenshot, or you can send it to the text or whatever. And there was 15 people that would have been disenfranchised and not allowed to vote. He did that because he wanted his candidate to win, and that's the problem. They cheat to win. We follow the rules. We'll outnumber you every single time, and we'll outsmart you too because you don't know the rules. But, you know, we're following them. And that's the only way they can win is to cheat. And so that's the entire thing. And y'all watch, they're going to shut your committee down. I'm waiting for that next. They're going to close down your committee over that letter y'all got the other day with that money. The law allows you to move money to PACs.
I don't know about the money yet, so.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have that in there because, by the way,
Sorry.
we got
Coming up.
$500 for the Tea Party because we've helped out a lot. And they want it back. What do you think I'm gonna say?
Let me write you a check.
Should have gave us an RPA.
It was done legitimately.
Yes.
It was done through vote. It was an overwhelming vote. And it is not, you know, this is just ridiculous. And I love what she said because they do the rules they want. And if they don't want it, they'll avoid the rules.
That's right.
It is very definitely a Democrat tendency. By the way, I also think if they had allowed inactives to vote that night on the 28th, they would have gotten them on that because see, at that point it wasn't law. So they were damned if they did and damned if they didn't.
Well,
They're
I
after
don't
you.
think
They're
they have
after your
any
committee.
other-
Yes,
They're after your committee.
yes.
They're after Pulaski County, and they are after Washington County.
Yep.
And the entire reason this is coming about is because the 2027 convention, they do not want a repeat of what we did last year. Because the closed primaries is the hill they will die on.
Yep.
That's the hill they're going
And
to
that
die on.
tells you how important it is.
They're gonna try to blame y'all
Yes.
if they lose any seats this next time.
What do you have?
Now, they already lost one,
You
see?
actually call it out ahead
Yeah.
of time, says, we know that you're gonna do it. We know that you're gonna try to blame us.
Try to what?
Well,
I didn't hear what you said. Try to what?
Try to blame us.
Blame us, yeah.
I have a question. What do you have to do to get on that list?
Probably, if you're a Republican, attending this meeting will help.
If you're MAGA.
You're gone.
well, from what I'm seeing, basically, burying them was guilty before they even had their little committee. And then, we've recently joined, but from what I've seen, Tim Loggins, he's a bully. And if he can't get his way, it looks like to me that he could try to get whoever is not gonna back down to him out of there.
I have an idea about that. I don't like that Tim Loggins struts around the Republican committee with his hand on his weapon.
Yeah.
And I don't like that he scared the wits out of one of our secretaries because he approached her in a very threatening manner and she felt threatened. And so I don't appreciate that. But Tim Loggins, and I think the people who signed this thing, were functioning as stooges for the RPA. The RPA was looking for a reason to dump this committee, to dump the officers, and Tim Loggins, by pushing these, and all the people on the list, by pushing these idiotic complaints, gave the Republican group in Little Rock the reason to do this. That's just my opinion.
Well, they stole this election Tuesday. They didn't like the way they lost in January, so they had everybody thrown out, and they thought they'd take it this last Tuesday, and they just got one in. Yeah.
This was a calculated move.
Yes.
And I mean, if you disagree with me, I have no problem. I mean, I don't want to argue with anybody, but I see some people kind of like, okay, well, I mean, so tell me how the paperwork on this jives, because you can see if she gets to that, and again, I have it if you want to see it, the RPA did not send anything out to anyone until after 10 weeks, until April 7th is when they finally sent something to the chairs and said, oh yeah, inactives can vote. Here's where we're saying this, okay? So April the 7th is when they got an official letter from the RPA. The date on the top of that letter that came from the RPA, this is their document, at the top, it said that the Rules Committee met February the 28th to decide this, okay? So this is their document, and they're admitting we didn't meet till a month later to talk about this, and we're still going to gig you because you did it in January, and we didn't even meet to talk about this until February the 28th. And Belinda Harris Ritter, who was the chair, she's since either stepped down or gotten the axe because she's no longer the chair. She did not have the authority to make that call unilaterally the night of January the 28th. So if he had an email from her, okay, if Tim Loggins had an email, it was not legitimate because by their own documents, they didn't meet for another month to even talk about this.
Cheating.
Lying.
This is lies. I mean, and if you believe this is okay, you need to be down the street at the Democrat Party meeting, because that's where you belong. And I'm just telling you, if you believe it's okay to weaponize, you're agreeing. That's what Joe Biden does. That's what he did to Trump.
Yeah, stole
And
the
you're
election.
okay with that? You're like okay with lying, and the documents are there to prove it.
She just said she was okay with it.
You're okay with weaponizing against
I'm not
people?
okay with weaponizing. I am okay. I signed this because we're hearing one side. You say one side was in the newspaper. We're hearing one side here too. The one thing that was brought up against Miss Donna about posting accidentally, she then sent a Facebook to, I believe it was Mr. Calvin, said, I reposted this, you deal with it. So she was trying to get him to attack Barry and myself. We have screenshots of that. So that was
Okay, we're going to take this. I'll let you respond, and then we're going on. because-
What happened was that post was posted accidentally. Tim Loggins, Wendy Pinnell, Christy McKeel jumped me.
We didn't jump you, we asked you.
Well, I got screenshots, but you spoke, let me. So anyway, Tim Loggins had said that, what's his name?
Jimmy Cabot.
Jimmy Cavan had been thrown out of his committee. I was unaware of it. That's why I sent that to Jimmy Cavan. I said, have you been thrown out of your committee? Because Tim Loggins said this, and you need to handle it. And that's what happened.
That's not what the post said.
That
It
is
says
what
you
happened.
need to deal
There,
with this.
you saw
Can
it.
I ask something though? I got thrown out of the party. I got thrown out of the party. I can't go on RPA property. I can't be a member of my county committee. I can't be a proxy because I advised Barry not to let inactives vote, and you signed that complaint against me. So how is that okay?
Are you okay with that?
How is that all right with the documents, the dates? I mean, the dates are indisputable. I understand there could be a he said, she said about a post or whatever, but the documents are pretty clear that they hadn't met yet that night. They hadn't met. They didn't meet for a month. So how is that okay to do to me?
All right, so when you look at the rules, from my understanding, is that they were just clarifying the rules. The rules were already in place. They were clarifying those rules that night, saying it didn't specifically say that they could not vote.
Okay, so again, they didn't meet to talk about this until a month later.
And the rules
So how
says
could
you
he have
have 10
had
days before
anything
election.
that night? They hadn't met yet. The Rules Committee had not had a meeting about this because in their own document, they said they didn't meet until February and they didn't tell anybody. So it's like a gotcha.
They told you that night at the meeting.
No, Tim told me. I didn't hear anything through any official channels, and I'm not going to believe anything Tim Loggins comes up saying, okay?
So
And
why didn't just to clarify, ask to speak to whoever.
they called Joseph Wood. They called him twice.
and couldn't reach him, so they called your second district chair. She didn't know anything about it either. She said, no, you can't let them vote.
I made that call.
He made that call. So it's like, y'all had nothing from any official channels. I can walk up with an email on my phone and I can make I can make a Belinda@gmail.com address. And I can come up to you and go, oh no, the rules have changed and we're right before a vote. And oh yeah, all of a sudden we've been calling people all day and getting inactives in here. Oh, it's different now. We've changed it. Okay, but there's no official word. If this was that important, why didn't Belinda or Joseph Wood send an email out to notify people who were having elections that night? It doesn't make sense, does it? You see what I'm saying?
And it doesn't justify the reaction either.
No, and I'm not, I mean, maybe you thought, maybe you didn't know all the rest of this. Maybe you didn't know about the dates. But I mean, I can show you hard dates that was stuff that they sent out. This didn't come from me. This is not my document. This came from the RPA. So y'all need to know that you may have been hoodwinked into some of this stuff. So,
Okay, we're gonna wait.